short because everybody that has talked, I think, has hit on one of the things that I wanted to hit on. I guess the main point I wanted to talk about is nation building. I think that the first thing we need to recognize is, I didn't introduce myself, sorry. I'm from Keller. I am a Sanquel. My mom is Hazel Herman. My grandpa is Saul Herman, Molly Herman. I'm related to most of the people in this room, and I apologize for not introducing myself first. Nation building, I think, is a very important idea to think about, because we as a people need to first recognize that we are defeated. We are the losers. This is the little plot of land they gave us, and right now, as long as our council, which hits on a point that Pat made, is making any decisions about how we're spending our money, is really just liquidating our assets for their own good. Really, we hire people like our executive director because they have the education and the experience to make those decisions, and you never hire anybody that you don't trust to make those decisions. So that is the first thing, and that brings me back to the nation building. You know, people are doing it, they do it all over the world. You know, they're doing it in Afghanistan right now, they're doing it in Iraq. You know, nation building is about understanding that your whole society has collapsed. Your political society has collapsed. What do we do to rebuild it? And so that is where we are at. I mean, as soon as we recognize that we have collapsed, we can start rebuilding. If you have councilmen who are telling you, or people who are running who are telling you that they're going to bring back your per capitas, they're full of it. Because I think of per capitas as something that is like it's selling your car to buy tires. We don't have money to give per capitas. We don't have money to give people raises. You know, we have, it's ridiculous to even think that, you know, somebody can make you the promise that you can have a per capita. You know, until we start building our nation, which starts with healing, what Ann was talking about with just the Lakes people fighting among themselves. I mean, you know, we're sitting, you know, I know that, like, one of my grandmas told me that, you know, if I ever married a Nez Perce, she would disown me. So that's how far back it goes. It's like, you know, we just don't even, you know, we're confederated. We've been that way for 138 years. Why can't we just decide that, you know, we're one? Mm-hmm. We are one people, and we need to figure out whatever we need to do to heal those differences so that, you know, our Lakes people feel like, you know, it's not them, they're us. Yeah. And the Nez Perce are us, and the Sanquel are us. And, you know, the Entiat, you know, everybody, we're all one people. And when we are one people, we start deciding who we're going to allow to run as councilmen. We start deciding who we're going to elect together. We start moving away from the idea of, you know, oh, well, what's Mario doing in Keller? You know, this is a Keller district. It doesn't matter, because he has every right to be here. Because this is his reservation too. If he wants to come here and do something, he should be allowed to. I don't vote in Keller anymore, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have a say. You know, my parents live here. You know, my grandparents are buried here. You know, I have a vested interest in this place, as do all of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So I really think we need to start thinking about that strategic planning and the nation building, and how do we make those things work? How do we keep working together? You know, how do we get away from those closed-door sessions? I know I was on the city council for Nespelem for years, and it's actually against the law in Washington to have a closed session.
Ooh, I like that.
But about you without you being in the room. And then, at the end of the closed session, they open it back up and they give a summary. We decided that we're going to do this based on our discussions in our closed session, so that you never wonder, well, what are my councilmen doing? Because, you know, the secrecy allows us to be defeated. We defeat ourselves every day. I think about Joan, and, you know, she's, you know, a very intelligent woman, you know, and we you know, hold this bar, you know, oh, well, if you don't have this education, then, you know, you're not worth it. But then we, you know, treat the people who do have an education like crap anyway.
Fire them in 90 days.
You know, as an example, you know, it's the funniest thing. I just got back from Arizona. But when I was here, before I left, I had talked to one of our councilmen who, you know, I was sort of backed into a corner where I didn't have any choice but to file these criminal charges that I asked to have somebody else do, because I felt like I had a conflict since they involved somebody who was really like my immediate supervisor. But I was forced to do that anyway. And then she, you know, I went through this process of, you know, oh, well, you should call this person. And I said, no, I can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. So I said, you know, I told her, I said, well, you know, we're having this real problem with hiring a lead prosecutor, and I really, really want to see that position get filled. And I said, you know, it would probably be a good idea, you know, and not just in that position, but in all of our positions. It's like, you know, the problem is that people look at those jobs and they don't want to apply for them, because I said, I get calls on a regular basis of people who say, is it true that you fired every prosecutor that's ever worked for the Colville tribe? And without just lying outright, I can't say the truth, you know? It's like, well, you know, well, no, we didn't actually fire them all. One of them, when his contract ran out and he asked to renew it, we said no. So we didn't really fire him. But, so I proposed, I said, well, you know, I said, I know that I'm not the person you want to do this, but I said, I would be willing to do the job for 2 years. I said, at the end of my 2 years, I will submit my resignation. I said, I will stay in the position until it's filled. I said, we will advertise it. I said, but in the meantime, you have to take it off the website and not put it anywhere. I said, we will have 2 years of stability. When people call and ask, you know, what happened to the last prosecutor, I can tell them, I'm moving on. You know, this is not where I want to be right now. And we will fill that position. No one cared. Because I wouldn't do what I was expected to do, which I thought was, you know, a waste of resources, among other things. My contract had been terminated within 2 weeks. And they were so outraged that because I knew this was going to happen, I had a clause put in my contract that when they fired me, I could have my old job back. So they were mad when they were like, well, where is she? You know, she's still there. She should be gone. And it's like, no, I knew you guys would fire me. So I moved 1,300 miles away, and I go down to work. I go down to an Arizona tribal prosecutor meeting, and this guy comes up and he says, so, you're from Colville? And I said, yeah. He says, did you guys ever hire a prosecutor?
Wow.
And I said, no. And he says, yeah, I hear you guys just chew them up and spit them out. And it's like, well, it's you know, and he's like, well, has it changed? You know, is it a good place to go work? And you know, again, it's like you can't honestly tell people that it is.